has changed since the last time I recorded, but I have really missed you guys. As promised in my last video, I said I was gonna show you guys what you all need, like the essentials to get around in South Korea. I want to be able to share my knowledge and everything I learned. Like, if I would have never had the friends and the social life skills and just like the unction to travel by myself, I would have never learned as much as I did when I traveled in Korea. So from me to you, I want to be able to provide you with the tools to be able to travel in Korea by yourself. I want to go ahead and provide you all with apps that I use that were really helpful. I have my handy dandy iPad.
First up is the Naver map.
Similar, I would say, to our Google Maps app, where it shows you how to get from one place to another in regards to a train. It shows you the time the train leaves. It also shows you bus routes, what bus numbers to take. It shows you how to walk somewhere if it's in close proximity. Even if it's a long proximity, it still will show you. It shows you how to get somewhere in a vehicle. So it's kind of like our Google Maps app, but kind of like on slight steroids, to me, in my opinion. And I feel like it's more useful there just because the train is an integral part of life there. So you really need the Naver map to show you how to get around, and you can actually switch it from English to Korean, Korean to English.
At first, when looking at the Naver map, it can look a little intimidating, but it is really simple. At the top, you'll just go ahead and click where it says place, bus, subway, and you can type in where you want to go, and you can also type in like a preview, so to and from, which is great. So you can look at the miles and the time frame it's going to take you to get there, which is perfect. So from there, once you actually look at your location, it should show you the bus route or the quickest route to get there. So it's going to go ahead and pull that up right now. So here it shows that you can take the train. It'll show you different routes that you can take and the quickest route versus maybe the least amount of stops. It'll show you a variety of options. And then you'll be able to see your route from start to finish. You can also press the back arrow button and select a vehicle if you choose to take a car, but you can choose what is best for you. Next up is the Waze app.
Waze is used in the US. That is something that we use. I feel like that's helpful in the US in regards to like watching out for cameras, police that are on the road, all that good stuff. And in Korea, I used it to confirm where I was going. Like, I would use a Naver map, but then also have it in Waze in the background just to confirm, like, okay, I'm going the right way. This makes sense, because sometimes Naver map was at times confusing to use. Like, the route would kind of confuse you. So Waze, because I knew it better, would help me to kind of like piggyback. And if something, it was very rare that I didn't understand how to use something on Naver or how to get somewhere. But at times I would just use it as a piggyback to be able to be like, okay, confirm it's good on Naver, confirm it's good on Waze. That just kind of gave me a level of comfort. So that's another good app to use when you're traveling in Korea.
Here is a simple example as to what the Waze app looks like. Next up is the KTX train.
The KTX is a train system. So you have KTX and you have SRT. So KTX is the train that's going to take a bit more time to get where you're going to go. It goes through pretty much all the major cities within South Korea. And it, because it stops at major parts of each and every city, and even small cities, it takes a little bit longer to get where you're going to go. It's still awesome, phenomenal, because you can choose, like, you can purchase actual seats, or you can get like first come, first serve seating. So if you feel like, okay, I don't want to book the train ticket ahead of time, or I can't go pick up a ticket ahead of time, you can definitely go ahead and download the KTX app, purchase your ticket, and get a seat, or you can go in at the last minute and go to a KTX train station and buy a standing ticket. And usually the standing tickets are for cart 4. So there's different number carts. You have cart 1, cart 2, cart 3, cart 4, and so on and so forth. When you go down to the train station, at the top, there will be right above where you stand to wait for the train, you'll see the numbers where you can stand to get on each cart. So it's really organized. And if you have any questions, there are attendants to help you. And people are super helpful. I noticed that if you ask like a lot of the younger Koreans, they know English a little bit better. So you can ask them. Not saying that the more mature generation doesn't, but I noticed that the younger generation is more helpful and really is able to really direct and have a better understanding. So I usually will ask them, or I'll ask an attendant if I need help. But really, as a whole, like, you can ask anyone if you see another American or someone else. Most people are willing to help if you have questions.
The KTX app is pretty simple and straightforward. I'm going to go ahead and open that now. The terms will always be in Korean. You'll go ahead and click and agree. At the top, you'll see departure and arrival, and that's what you'll select. In regards to your train station, to and from, you'll select the date, how many adults, and then it'll always typically be direct all at the bottom, and then you'll press inquiry. From there, it'll show you the times and the train numbers, as you can see to your left. If you have questions, feel free to ask an attendant. It's really well thought out once you get to the train station to find the train numbers. Put in your info, go to the checkout screen, put in your major credit card, and you'll be done. Next up is the SRT train.
Going to be the SRT app. So this is another train system, and there's less of this because KTX in comparison is like super economically friendly. SRT is when you need to get somewhere super fast and you want to spend a little bit more money, and the seats are nicer, the train is nicer, and you can get somewhere within like 10 minutes, 20 minutes or less. Like, it's extremely fast.
In Korea, you'll definitely need a T-Money card, which is rechargeable. This is how you'll be able to use the train system. At the bottom, you see the T-Money card symbol, and you can get these at the convenience stores and gas stations.
So that's the only reason why I didn't take the SRT train a whole lot, because I was always concerned about getting a taxi because I didn't have a car in Korea. But other than that, SRT is really simple. Another thing you can do is like take SRT during the day and then in the evening come back with KTX. So the SRT app, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys right now what that looks like.
With the SRT app, it's similar to the KTX app. If you need to use it, be sure to use Google Translate to translate the image, and then you'll be able to identify where you need to go to and from, but it's most similar to the KTX app. Next up is the KAKAO T app.
KAKAO. I always want to say KAKAO, but it's pronounced KAKAO. KAKAO T. KAKAO T is a taxi app. So this is how you get a taxi. So the Koreans have a system where they have to put in like their identification number when they purchase things online. So it's really hard for foreigners to purchase things on like a major scale online if you don't have like a Korean ID number to put in, or if you are, let's say, a foreigner and they give you one and you're like a permanent resident there. But if you're not, then when you go onto their website, you pretty much can't check out. Like how if a foreigner comes here to the US and is able to check out, it's much harder to do it in South Korea. So what you can do on the KAKAO T app when you order taxis, when you click the taxi button, you want to go ahead and go under pay the driver. So it'll ask you like, the size vehicle that you want, which is typically going to be the regular little taxi signing out. You'll see it's like the white taxi, because there's like, how we have it here in the US, Uber, Lyft. You have the black for like the more elevated car service, stuff like that. You just want to get the basic one. It's all the way to the left at the top. So on that one, you can just get like a taxi. It's usually just like a economy size compact car. and you want to be able to, when you scroll through, you want to make an account, obviously. And then when you scroll through, you want to go ahead and swipe over to the right, and it'll say pay the driver instead of pay with your credit card. Because if you pay with your credit card, you have to essentially be a citizen or have some form of a ID number. So that was super helpful when I needed a taxi. Sometimes it is harder to get a taxi. A lot of times it's harder, especially if it's late at night. And if you're within like a 5-mile radius, typically taxis don't want to accept your ride. So if I use the taxi app, I usually try to make sure that I am within a 15-minute radius so that the taxis accept my request and come get me, child, because no person left behind, okay? Okay.
You have to make an account to use the app. You'll go ahead and click that taxi, the top middle left, that white vehicle. And then from there, once you make your account, you should be able to check out with the taxi app. Next up is the Exchange Taxi app.
The Taxi app is mostly for military bases or that direct surrounding area. So you can actually, and this is, I would suggest this more for like military members, unless you live right outside of like a direct military base. The Exchange Taxi, you can actually go in on that app and pick, it'll automatically populate whatever building number you're at. Once you get in the taxi, you'll be able to tell your driver where you want to go. They don't really look at the app pertaining to where you're going to go. It doesn't like populate like how Uber or Lyft does, where it tells the taxi driver where to go. Typically on the Exchange Taxi app, you just get in the cab, tell the cab driver, hey, I want to go here, I want to go there. And they're super helpful, friendly, and they're willing to take you majority of places on or off base.
On the app, click touch here. Your building number will populate, and then you'll be able to click that and order your taxi. Y'all know the saying, Expedia.com.
Expedia was super helpful. There's a ton of other traveling apps you can use, but I'm like, I just always have had a preference for Expedia. So they have Expedia Korea, and that's how I would book hotels. The hotels are super affordable. Like I would spend like more like 80,000 won, which is in the US equivalent to like more like 72 or even less, maybe like $70, $65, depending on like the exchange rate. And you can download money exchange rate on your phone. Most apps will work just fine, and you can actually look at the translation. Like if you type in 80,000 won and see the translation in US dollars, so that you feel like you're getting the most for your money. Expedia definitely was worth it in regards to booking hotels, especially if you're a member on there. Then just go ahead and stick with Expedia. You'll be just fine. I booked my trip to Jeju for Expedia, all that good stuff, and I never had any issues.
Many people have used Expedia. Here is a logo to the app. Next up is Google Translate.
The app is really essential in Korea. Obviously, we know what a translation app is. You are going to need it for sure. So if you're traveling in Korea and you need to be able to translate whatever language that you speak into Korean to speak to someone that is Korean, some of them will act like they don't understand when you show them like it in a sentence on Google Translate. They'll act like they're just like clueless. They know what you're talking about. They know exactly what you're talking about. So you just want to be able to use that. It's very useful, and I would definitely suggest using and downloading the Google Translation app. Obviously, there's other apps that you can download that you may find better, but the Google Translate app, I could speak into it and have an actual conversation with someone and not feel like this thing is taking all day to load or to translate. So I never had any issues with that.
The Google Translate app is pretty simple to use. You can go ahead at the top and select your language from whatever you're trying to translate to, and then from or from to. And then from there, you'll go ahead and type in what you are looking to say. You can also say it by voice or do it by image, which is great. And then from there, you can go ahead and see at the bottom the translation. Next up is KAKAO
It's
Talk.
kind of equivalent to like our WhatsApp, but it's solely majorly like used in Korea. So it's super popular. It's a messaging app that everyone uses to connect with other people. A lot of people use it for work, to keep up with friends, all that good stuff. You can do like group chats in there. So that's like a big messaging app that everyone uses. So I suggest that if you're going to be in Korea long term, that you download the KAKAO Talk app.
Here is a simple example of what the app looks like.
Those are pretty much the essential apps that you'll need while in South Korea. If you are someone like me that likes to just get up and go and doesn't like to depend on other people, download those apps. And the good thing is that Korea is very easy to navigate. Once you learn it, you are like, you're set. You are good as gold. So definitely would suggest, like I always say, traveling to South Korea. If you all have questions about certain things when it comes to Korea, definitely leave them below. If you have questions or want suggestions on places to eat, things to do, things that I really enjoyed. Like, for example, I went scuba diving, I went paragliding, I climbed mountains and went hiking there. I did so much there. I went to like Korean spas. I would love to hear from you all. Leave questions below. Add suggestions, y'all. I am definitely going to start integrating more beauty type videos, also more travel. I love you guys as always, and I will see you guys on my next video. All right, I will talk to y'all soon. Bye.